Hello and welcome to the after party. I'm No White Guilt, and I am with the Great Order. The Honors Roll Call highlights and celebrates those who have conscientiously committed to monthly gifts in my work for White Wellbeing. And appearing on the All-Stars portion on the Honors Roll Call today are Joseph, Final Blossom, Shaxor, Going Free, and Laura. And those remaining on the honors roll call are R. Van Diggle, M. Hecox, Hendrickson, and Artorius, Dean, and King Petrus, Brad and Jim, Stephen, and Ohesian, Outlaw, Goofy Gray, White Healing, Jay, and Last Paleocon, Michigan Wave, and Happy Cat. I warmly appreciate your support and the sense of moral responsibility for white well-being you demonstrate for us all. Folks, remember, if you are not one of them, please be sure to thank them. As for the crown winner of last week, the crown goes to someone you may have heard of before. Roy Danton, our very own, for gifting a total of $50. Congratulations, dear sir and brother, and thank you indeed. In second place was Theosign, gifting $25. Congrats, and thank you as well. Financially gift on Entropy at 15%. Now, we won't be streaming through Entropy because we still have a strike, but you can still grab the link on the link for the gardening channel, and you can financially gift there. You can also financially gift on Cash App at 6%. And once we have Going Free standalone version available, I will be probably getting some more of these avenues for financially gifting back up and running. And remember, Jared and I evenly share these financial gifts with our guests here on the After Party. Now, today we are getting into Jeff Winston from the White Art Collective fame and many other tours de force, including a master musician he is. We played his music on the Garage Party last night, and it was magnificent. We welcome you back to TAP. Jeff, please introduce yourself to those who don't know of you yet, and then Mr. George will take over.
Well, thank you guys again for having me. I'm Jeff Winston, the director of the White Art Collective. I'm also a musician, as you said, and filmmaker myself. And thanks for having me. You guys are always huge supporters of WAC. Thanks for playing everybody's stuff on the Garage Party last night. You are helping us with this artistic and cultural renaissance that I think is the future and the direction of where we need to go, as far as just galvanizing and undergirding the existing ideas we're already putting out there.
Oh my God, I just have to quickly say, Jared, that's absolutely right, Jeff. I mean, the culture, the psychological defense, the building of families, that is what will create the heartbeat at the center of the white positive sphere. Very briefly, I will just say that the white positive sphere has had families involved, but not families growing through the white positive sphere. That's the big difference. Mothers and fathers having children, bringing them up and going free, bringing them up in the culture that we create, that creates something that is a real living entity that will exist. In the white positive sphere before, whether they were married or not, they were just cycling in and cycling out. You had nothing but singles. No matter how many times they got married in life, they were still single individuals. And when they dropped out, that was it. There were no children. There was no continuation. So the work that Jeff is doing is absolutely as important as it could possibly get. And he should, and all of the artists in his ring of influence there, they should all have far more attention than we see given other places, instead of having less attention than we see given other places. So remember, this is the advanced placement, those in Going Free in the white positive sphere. And so that's why we continue to support the things that are real and have meaning. Mr. George.
Well, Jeff's been on a few times. Jeff, I feel like we need to check in with you at least every couple of months to have you on tap and digest everything going on in White Art Collective, because it's hard to keep track of. Before we speak to you, actually, because it's relevant, I don't want to seem rude and delay speaking to our guest, but Jason, why don't you just, for the record, I'm sure most people know, but just explain to people what you've done since March in growing Chuck Martell's Garage Party, this thing you do Friday nights, and how that ties into White Art Collective, because I think that should be stated as well before we go on.
I will just give a summary so we can get right to our wonderful guest. And thank you very much for the question, Jared. Chuck Martell Garage Party, it's a white well-being community. We consider all art that serves white well-being, that serves going free, to be well-being art. And we incorporate it in the work that we do in the service to our people, in the service to the recapture of our destiny. And part of that is bringing attention to that work and convincing people of the reality that this is what's actually important. This is what actually is going to take us from here to there, to the recapture of our destiny, not just the talking about politics or the talking about ideology, etc. This is the actual creation of something that is living and that can be interpreted and reinterpreted by our people for the good of our people. And so in my effort to want to bring that attention to these wonderful people, Jeff and everybody in his circle of influence, very talented folks, we have this well-being art, which is all forms of art, and but music, poetry, etc. we've had on there so far. I'm looking into doing posting images that people create as well, and even photography and anything that could be art in the service of it. Now, it doesn't mean that in that specific artistic piece that you have to be using some of the vocabulary or the dialectics, etc. of going free. It doesn't mean that you have to say, let's protect or let's have white babies, like in the song that Jeff and Mama P that we played last night were saying. But you do have to be an artist that is serving white well-being. You do have to be creating something that is ennobling us, and that can be something that is sad, that can be something that is magnificent, what have you. But nonetheless, in the service of our people, that the overall body of your work, every piece doesn't have to serve an acute avenue or an acute example of white well-being, but the body of your work has to be that, to be included. And anyhow, so we shifted over to this particular name of Chuck Martell, and it's just a cartoon of like a younger brother of the Charles. It's like here's my brother Daryl and the other brother Daryl. And so Chuck he wasn't as heroic as Charles Martell, but he sure does like to party. So that's how he makes amends. So it's his garage parties. White people like garage parties. It's a totally white thing to do, to have garage parties. And so that's what Chuck has. And we on Friday nights at 7:30, we play a premiere, and then we also live stream the premiere on all of these other platforms. And last night was the biggest audience we've ever had, all the way up to right around 150 people were watching live. Just absolutely stupendous. So all of these folks are coming in and seeing, some of them for the very first time, what it means to be in a community serving white well-being that isn't just talking about politics, that isn't just rehashing philosophy, etc. They can get that elsewhere. But this is what that is all about, highlighting these individuals. And remember, there is no support shaming in service to white well-being. They could do that elsewhere in the white positive sphere, but there's no support shaming here. We need to support our artists. If you can support them financially, please do so. Don't think, oh, I can't send $5 a month. Don't think I can't send $1 a month. You absolutely can. And if you can't send anything, you're that poor, then you can support them with kind words, with adulation, with letting them know how important you think their work is. So that's what Chuck Martell is, highlighting people. Yeah.
And share it everywhere.
And share it everywhere, precisely. Be the algorithm. But that's really it. We want to highlight great performers like Mr. George, too. I mean, we had Jared, who has done these videos for Red Ice, and they're magnificent, educational. And this is where philosophy is not examined as our old tales and etc. is not examined as something in and of itself, as though there's some sort of magic word to find in there, or wand or something to find in there. Mr. George takes the success we're having here, and then he takes the pieces out of the stories, pieces out of philosophy, and says, this is how it fits in our world. This is like the undergirding for the things that we're doing that are having success. Isn't that more valuable, ladies and gentlemen, than going on an endless search for the millionth time that other people have gone on through the words of philosophers and etc. So all forms of art, and please participate if you are a creator of some type, and bring our attention specifically. Jeff is really tuned in to new and upcoming performers. Make sure you get out to him, and then we will make sure you get on the Chuck Martell Garage Party. Thank you for the question, Jared.
Yeah, Chuck wasn't the warrior, but he's something of a DJ. Yeah. Thank you for the kind words. I have another Red Ice coming out soon. Henrik and I are working on it right now. Very exciting. But yeah, you have some poetry too, like from Nullus, but it's mostly songs. So it's like a little half-hour show where you play a few songs. I mean, pretty soon we're going to need a radio station. I know people are putting together playlists. So Jeff, let's get into it. We're only together for a little bit today. Why don't we just start by telling us about your new show called Our Culture, and then we can take it from there.
Yeah, so Our Culture is basically the concept is that we're trying to reach out and do what we were just talking about earlier of having culture undergird the movement and kind of help to bridge a lot of these gaps between the various factions of people. Because, you know, when we focus on the political, it's very easy for people to disagree and then have nothing to there's no glue to kind of hold them together. They just perpetually disagree on twitter.com, and that's kind of it. And people stay in their little spheres. So what we've been trying to do is we've been reaching out on this show, and we're trying to find people of all kind of different ideologies. The first one we had on was Big Dave Martell, who's a really great guy. You guys know Big Dave, right? Mm-hmm. He came on and talked about, you know, his passion. Yeah, exactly. His passionate beliefs, you know, the pagan beliefs that he has. And he also demonstrated some throat singing, which was really cool. And he's really good at it. And I tried to do it, and I mean, just ridiculously comical. I don't have the voice for it. And, but that, you know, it was a lot of fun. And just to bring him on, and like the idea is we're bringing people on as a white pill to talk about culture, something that they're really passionate about, that really inspires them. And then the second episode was last Friday. We had Kai Muros, which was really great. Jack White and Hyrith reached out to him and were able to arrange an interview. And he has a lot of interesting viewpoints on culture and how that relates to the future of, you know, where things are going to go with this. And he's also very interested in fashion. You know, he's very passionate about that and thinks that fashion, and I totally agree, and that aesthetic is an important part of how we're going to kind of recapture people's imaginations, you know, and set ourselves apart in how we look, how we dress, how we act, you know, the kind of music we listen to, the kind of books we read, etc. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. He's a very passionate guy, and he's got a lot of very, very interesting viewpoints. And then last night we had Josh Neal and Thamster Whitnat on, talking more kind of about some critique kind of stuff. And it was definitely an interesting conversation. Definitely recommend. So yeah, we're going to continue reaching out to all these different factions of folks kind of across our spheres to try and, you know, it's kind of like Operation Friendship. We just want to get out there more and kind of get to know some more folks in what's going on. We're doing that in some of our other shows as well. We had Rich Hauk on Cinema Not Seas this week, and that was cool. And then we've had some folks. Thamster was also on Conversations with the Wind, which is our poetry show hosted by Nullus. So, you know, we kind of bring nights, people, right? Yeah, Sunday nights. There's one this Sunday, actually, 8 p.m. Eastern.
What is the cinema show?
Cinema Not Seas. Yeah, that's every other Wednesday. We have one this upcoming Wednesday. I think Donald's going to come on that one. Donald Kent.
Yeah, he's been on After Hours. Indeed, I should say too, I'm in the habit of saying this, but anyone, especially people that are new, and we love seeing new people, whether you're participating or just checking it out and being quiet right now. But we have our site, theafterparty.tv. This gentleman, Jeff, has been on several times, and then associated White Art Collective artists have been on as well. We did a panel with a bunch of you back in December when White Art Collective, unfortunately, like me, lost their YouTube channel. I have a new one now, but we've been through that. So I'd like to say that just so that if you're curious to hear more, you can always search a topic, or you can always search a name on our site, and the old episodes will come up. It's all cataloged for you there. So, all right, I have a little bit of a teaser since you mentioned Josh Neal. Josh Neal, I spoke to him privately about this. I knew that he was coming back a little bit. We were talking over the last few weeks. So everyone, here's a little teaser. Josh Neal is actually going to be our guest Tuesday night on After Hours. We usually start about 7:30 or 8, but look forward to our announcement about that. But Josh Neal is going to be popping back in. I know that he is doing a lot in your world as well. Like us, he's passionate about the cultural aspects. So I have admittedly, and I'm in this thing, and this is a good thing. I mean, this is a compliment, Jeff, and all the artists that you work with. It's to the point where I'm having a hard time keeping up with what you're doing and keeping straight when the shows are and premieres and artists and all this. So, not to sound like a public call out, I hope this doesn't sound inappropriate, but is there something that you're working on your site? Because I'm looking at the White Art Collective where we could get a little more of a central hub of like a programming guide. I know you have your list of artists, but anything in the works about that? And if not, I can help at least consult with that, because I want people to be able to go to one page and browse everything and see what's coming up and see the activity, because my hat's off to you guys. I mean, we've been in touch since you started, but you keep taking steps forward. We love to see that. Jason and I try to do that too. You know, our motto is just always forward, ever onward. You are growing a lot and we love it, but it's a good problem to have. It's hard, honestly, to keep up with everything going on. So anything you can say to that?
Oh, well, how dare you, sir? No, it's a good point.
Drama, more internet drama.
I'm flipping the table over here. No, yeah, I mean, it's like you said, it's a good problem to have, and it's something we're working on. I'm trying to get consistently having the shows, and I want to put up like a schedule. I was actually right now, Twitter and Gab are the best places. Unfortunately, a lot of times, it's going to be day of, like, here's what's happening. If you watch our Twitter feed, you'll see what show's happening, etc. Saturday night live streams every Saturday. Like, we've literally only missed a couple in like a year and a half. And Dance Squared also. That's our live DJ set with Boxcar after Dance Squared. But yeah, we need to consolidate. And I'm actually having a guy who's working on updating our website, we're going to get away from the DIY website. I'm not a developer. We've got a guy who's reached out who is going to help us take that to the next level. And a schedule is definitely something that we need to do. What we've been kind of trying to launch in general with all of these shows we're doing, I think we've got like 6 or 7 now, is kind of like launch like Whack TV, and to where basically I'd like to get to the point
about that in December.
Yeah. So the idea being, treat our D Live, and it's not just going to be D Live, and I know that was kind of one of our potential topics coming up. We can discuss that, but more so whatever platform we're streaming on or will allow us to stream, we are going to basically set up our infrastructure on the backside to where we are organized in such a way to where, yeah, we have a clear schedule. Here's when we're doing what, and I am trying to, once we get our website more kind of ramped up, I'm going to get more centralized schedule there, because that's ultimately the place where it's going to be best, because who knows when or if, Twitter we might have to rework things there. So yeah, I think that's much like with what you guys are doing. I think that's the way to go, and we need to do that as well. And but yeah, no, it's a good point, and we're definitely working on that. All of this stuff is very incremental and trying to get it worked out. And for instance, tomorrow I'm having a training session with like 5 or 6 of our people. So we're going to try to get some more people who are going to stream, so that I can't be the guy doing that all the time. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not possible. So we're going to have people, I'm going to train them how to stream pre-recorded videos on the WAC channel. And then we're going to put out a schedule, like you said, to where people will know, like, here's what night this is playing. We'll play some reruns, but we also have so many songs and different videos and animations and all kinds of stuff to fill up at least a couple hours a night, and keep it interesting. So yeah, that's the plan. But yeah, definitely for the moment, Twitter and Gab are the best places to find out what's happening. And then I'm going to start updating the website soon. We're going to bring that in.
Yeah, there's the aspect of show schedule, which you just spoke to, but there's also the aspect of your musician's catalog, because so many things have been released, and I know people can go look musicians up, like their YouTube channel and whatnot. But YouTube channels, as we know, come and go. So if there was some kind of a catalog of every song that's been released by WAC associated artists and ways to search that, that might help too. And what about are there?
Can I say something to that real quick?
Please.
Yeah. So I did, you might have seen on the website, and someone who actually played some of our stuff the other day was making a similar comment. So I'm kind of, it's double-edged there. On the one hand, I'm like, it'd be great and convenient to put together a list of all of our artists that we affiliate with so that people can go find them, etc. On the other hand, I'm like, do I want to hand a list to just anybody and make it easy for them to just go and bother all of these people? Should some group, which we've already been messed with and things, should somebody want to go and harass people? You know what I mean? So in a way, I'm almost obscuring a little bit. It's unfortunate because it obscures it for people in our spheres as well, but I'm just a little bit wary of making that so easily accessible. So I'm trying to figure out how to do that, because something I'm very mindful of is being, I'm very mindful and conscientious of the OPSEC of our artists. I don't want, because that's the first thing that's going to make them not want to create. So I'm very careful about that kind of thing. So, if anybody has any good ideas on the best way to do that, I don't know that there is a great way. It's kind of a balance of trying to fly in that radar space. That's we're growing and it's out there, but it's not, it's tricky. It's like the more attention you get, the easier you make it, the more you're bringing on yourself. But that's also how you grow. So we're kind of riding that wave.
Yeah. And I mean, there's more to talk about privately with that. That's not necessarily public conversation, but I would imagine to some extent it's on the artists too. Like obviously some people remain totally anonymous, like some of the producers. We're starting to see these names do collaborations with people, new names, and those producers don't really have websites or anything. You just see featuring an artist whose name like now worked with this producer. They wrote a song together, and obviously everyone kind of chooses their own level of how much they want to share about themselves. They want to put a name or a face out or remain totally anonymous. What about, I know that there are, and I need to learn about this myself, there are streaming services or podcast platforms that act more like de facto radio stations where you can plug in, I think that's how you work, is you can plug in a whole playlist of songs and it'll just randomize them. And, you can tune in at any point and have on in the background, like just the whole WAC catalog playing. Is there anything like that you know about or in the works?
Yeah, I was actually talking to a guy on our newly created Telegram channel, which again, that's one more thing that's kind of hard to keep updated, but I'm doing the best I can.
That's a good place for people to get info. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, do check that out. But so yeah, it is, there was a guy over there saying like, hey, what about a thing like this? I think that would be cool. Personally, I'm big about, I think that'd be fine. I do think curation is important. I think it's important for things to kind of have, and you could still program the curation in there and be like, here's an hour of classical music. Here's an hour of, you know what I mean? That does require kind of more work, but I think that, you could do a combination of the two. If you just kind of put in there, okay, here's this type of music, maybe play this for this period of time, etc. Something like that. Because we have such a broad range of music. If you just totally made it random, it'd be insane. Of like, here's a classical piece, here's a, mind melter from Eurodyne, it would be, yeah. So curation for me is a big thing with that. But I do think it's the kind of thing we need to consider. And I do have people talking about that kind of thing and suggesting it to me. And yeah, bring it. And if you can, I don't have the bandwidth personally to do that, but like I said, I'm training people and giving them access to the content to where they can take that and run with it, So we're definitely headed in that direction. And I need to get back with that guy actually and kind of get more info on that. And I've had other people contact me about internet radio, and actually Donald Kent, he was working, I think he's still doing this. He was doing an interview show that was going to be on an internet radio station, and he was playing whack music on there. And we've got quite a few things like that. Also, Albion Radio over on Gab, Sven Longshanks, he played some of the stuff, and I was telling him about that. He was saying the same thing about the list, which, you know, I haven't had a chance to respond, but I was thinking the same kind of thing as far as the artist list. So I'm trying to figure out, I think a big part of this is kind of getting this to pull all together. So I'm having this guy work on the WAC website, and what I want to do is I want to have it to where you have artists and allies able to log in, and, you know, we'll have our own section on the backside, kind of behind the curtain, so to speak, of the WAC website, to where you will actually be able to collaborate within the website. And we'll set up the structures to where, let's say, someone who wants to have a radio station, you know, they'll be able to come in and they'll be able to have access to those the song catalog. And they'll also be able to, like, people will be able to say, hey, do you want your stuff to be played on this radio station? Because that's the other thing I have to consider too, is like, are they cool with these optics? We have a very broad spectrum, as I think you're probably aware, of people of kind of, we're getting more and more apolitical people, which is actually a good thing. This is kind of something Jason was speaking to earlier about, you know, things don't have to be overt necessarily, like love your people or baby boom or boom baby, you know, where it's like, I think it was important to kind of do that at the beginning to establish the core culture of what we are.
I think we've talked about that there's, not that we should ever totally lose sight that there's new people coming in, but there are enough philosophical assumptions and values that are broadly shared amongst the people involved in this now, so that not every last thing has to be explicit.
Yeah, and I think that
we're still kind of living our lives. We have to remember that too.
Yeah, exactly. I'm actually really excited about this because I've had some of these people are reaching out to me, you know, whereas in the past I was having to reach out to a lot of people, especially if they were kind of a little bit outside of our spheres. You know, I kind of had to do a little more schmoozing to get them, you know, because they're a little leery of, like, I don't know about this white art collective thing. What is this? You know, but now we've got people who are kind of more apolitical coming to us and saying, you know, I don't know if it's cool because we don't do like overtly traditionalist nationalist stuff. And I'm like, no, that's great. You know, as long as it seems to me that, you know, what you're doing is a genuine expression of the European biospirit, that's fine. And you know, doing that in a subtle way is completely okay. So I would encourage people who might be on the fence about that. And it is a little bit subjective, but I do have to kind of look at things, you know, like, do I feel like it is an expression of that? Because some people have sent stuff that I turned it down, you know. I was like, this, yeah, you know, like, people maybe think on the outside like we're not being discriminating, but we most definitely are. So yeah, it's I'm laughing because I thought of someone who they did a picture of a bunny rabbit with scissors through it. And I don't think that they were a subverter, but I was just kind of blown away because I was like, I got someone sent me a furry cartoon. It wasn't pornographic, but it was just like this like big ripped eagle. You know what I mean? That was actually one of the first things someone submitted. And I was like, are these people trolling? That might've been a troll. I don't know. That was kind of funny, but just, yeah, these are the kind of things that it's like, no, we're not having furry cartoons or stuff like that.
You know, if they want to start their own, they can. I mean, you have a right to be a curator.
Right. Right.
We believe in the hierarchies, and if you're starting an organization, then you have decision-making power. You know, we all have to be adults about that. Now, some of these sound like they're softball questions, like we planned this ahead. Honestly, it's not. I'm curious and kind of picking your brain live because we haven't been able to talk and catch up. So some of these are just, if it's a yes or no answer, we can move on. I'm just curious. Is it mostly American artists? Have you gotten submissions from people in other countries?
We are definitely American centric, but we have artists from quite a few other countries. We actually just got a couple of people, French folks, which the first French person just contacted me a few weeks ago, or I came into contact with, I think someone in our spheres was like, hey, you know, Jeff, you should be aware of this guy. And I went and listened to his music. I was like, that's really cool. And now he's, you know, now that he's heard of us and what we're doing, he's like, oh, I really like what you're doing. And I think he's getting into it. We've played a few of his songs. His name is Hayad, Aeodh, or as I like to do the French, Ayad. But yeah, his stuff is really interesting, and he brings a different kind of style to the table. You can definitely tell there's like the French influence, not just the accent, but also, you know, he's coming from a different cultural angle. But yeah, we've got Romanian.
Ayad is in the chat, and I just said hello to him. So welcome.
Hey, cool
to see you here. And thank you so much for being here.
So this is one of the benefits of associating, is that I will give you a shout out on a stream, and, you know, promote the good work that they're doing. We got Romanian Sebastian Vilmark. If you guys are familiar with him, he's like metal cello. Basically, his stuff is wild, very interesting.
Very cool.
We definitely like his stuff. And we got like Syntheside, Australian. We got, you know, Jack White, UK. I don't think we have any South African. No. Let's see. We got a number of Swedes. Tiwa's Tunes, Lilu and John, Amalek. Yeah. So I mean, we have people from different places across the Eurosphere, and that's continuously expanding as they hear about us more. There's a guy who has another French guy just happened to contact me around the same time. Thuse, Theussz. Like, they have their own kind of collective thing going on, but he'd reached out to me, and so I've been in contact with him. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of stuff across the Eurosphere. We're American centric because, you know, I'm an American. We do have a lot of Americans, but it's definitely open to folks across the Western world.
It's extremely exciting. And again, another question that just came to mind, and whether or not this is a yes or a no, I know that this is going to grow. This is going to happen. And I'm very curious to see what happens when this happens. But that is, have you seen yet, keyword is yet, because we know this is going to happen, artists associated with WAC on general music platforms like Bandcamp, SoundCloud, and people out there in Normie land discovering an artist, liking it, getting into it, and then following the breadcrumbs, reverse engineering, doing a little research, and finding that this artist they like, that they found on Bandcamp or one of these general music sites, is associated with this heretical thing where they're part of the White Art Collective, and it's people of European descent who don't actually hate themselves. Any stories, any whiffs of something like that? And again, if the answer is no, I know that's going to happen, and it's going to be very interesting, and it's going to scramble a few noggins out there when this starts to happen.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell sometimes. Because, like, you know, the trail is kind of hard to follow digitally, but I do know sometimes I get tagged in stuff. Boxcar, who's also Modernity Leave, is kind of like the group. He's our DJ on Dance Squared. So he's kind of in the whole like vaporwave and, you know, electronic music scene. There's so many different subgenres, I don't even know them all. Witch House. But anyway, so like he's kind of been involved in that scene for quite a while. So he's got some overlap with those people. And obviously he started associating with WAC back in December of last year. And now here in the last month or so, we were doing pre-recorded streams of his DJing, and now he's doing actually streaming live, which is cool. And we're thinking about getting a dancer. Now this will be tasteful, you know, just saying, but I think it'd be cool to have, you know, kind of take the visual element to a new level tastefully. Okay. So anyway, that's something we're talking about, and we've got to figure out the logistics of that. But yeah, there's, so like some of the people in his spheres, you know, this is a whole scene of these vaporwave artists, and a lot of them are very leftist, and this is, you know, something he's had to deal with. But so we got mentioned in some thread where these people are like, oh my God, you know, Clutching Pearls, he's affiliated with the White Art Collective.
Oh my God.
At White Collective. And then like there's, you know, some kind of going back and forth. And then the person was like, oh, wait, we shouldn't be we shouldn't be saying this because we're just giving them more attention by talking about it. And they were kind of going back and forth, and I thought it was funny. And I just chimed in, like, I don't remember what I said, but just basically downplaying it. Or I think I said something about why, would you feel this way? I pulled the classic, would you feel this way if it was the Black Art Collective or whatever, which, these things of course exist and no one has a problem with them.
Yeah.
But I mean, of course, no one has any meaningful answer to that question. So, but that tweet got a lot more likes and retweets than the people who were clutching their pearls over the fact that we were an explicitly an art collective for people of European descent. So I just thought that was funny. And we do see little blips and blaps of stuff like that. And I see more people. I think they just like I said, I see more kind of apolitical people, and they're just like, yeah, whatever. We're an up and coming artist, and these people like our stuff, and they're willing to play it. And we're like, yeah, because we're one of the few people who are seeking out genuine talent and looking to boost their signal. So I mean, it's kind of hard to turn it down in a way,
Yeah. No, we absolutely should be doing that, being there for these folks and incorporating them, bringing them into our fold, so that the young artists or the ousted artists, the ignored artists, the talented but ignored artists, everyone out there can come to the love of our people, can come to the service of our people in a way that is creative and productive for us. And of course, when they have an option, we are on the edge. Everything that they're doing is absolutely anti-white, mainstream garbage. No matter how much they try to fool themselves, they know deep down that they are not on the edge of anything. We are out there on the edge with service to white well-being and the kind of art that we are making. So yes, continue. And remember, this is same way we bring folks in, our brothers and sisters, otherwise the vagues out there, is that if somebody is vehemently anti-white, or they for whatever reason, they want a villainy signal to everyone around them that caring about the future of white babies is evil, then you just say, okay, have a nice day. I'll go on to the next talented artist, the next talented musician, the next talented poet, the next talented sculptor, whatever. And a dancer as well. So I heard you say that you might need a dancer, and I might happen to know somebody who knows how to dance.
Oh, really?
Why? Look at that
see.
Upper left. After the TAP anniversary in February, I'm curious as to why GNR Lives is right there.
Well, that was actually the actual song. Believe it or not, that was the actual song that was playing that I had put up on D Live, and dancing to that. But then
what were you dancing to?
Was it 1 in a Million? I think maybe.
Oh, yeah, that's the saucy one from GNR Lives.
Yes.
I remember listening to GNR Lives as a kid all the time.
You're hired. That's great.
Well, you found your answer. There you go. See? Another whack tap crossover miracle.
And that's how us simps are going to draw more women to the movement there too. We're going to have Jason dance and
yeah.
Oh, yeah, but sorry, go ahead.
What has been your we wanted to talk a little bit about what's been your experience on D Live and any other platforms you might want to mention about how we have to be nimble. I think it's a good idea. We've already done this with our site, and it sounds like you're moving in this direction where the platform that a particular show is streaming to, I think that has to become, and please everyone in the chat, listen up, or in replay, the platform, whether it's YouTube, D Live, or somewhere else, has to become secondary. What has to become primary is just a few centralized ways that you get the information of where this show is going to be. And that mainly should be a website, maybe also secure broadcast social media tools like Telegram. So if YouTube channel has too many strikes this week or whatever silly things going on, oh, okay, the main place is going to be D Live or whatnot. I mean, in our case, as I always tell people, and I know this takes some getting used to, you can watch it right on our site on the afterparty.tv. We, except for right now, we have some snags, but usually you can see it through Entropy right on our site. But the main point is, I don't want you to think about YouTube, you associate No White Guilt YouTube channel as much as you just associate Tap and what we do, or White Art Collective and what Jeff and his artists do, and there's a centralized way for you to know, okay, this is where the program is going to be. It doesn't matter what channel, it doesn't matter what platform it's on. That's what we have to get used to. We have to get a little more nimble that way. So if you could speak to that, Jeff, what your experiences have been of DLive, and how, if you have anything to add about that, how both we as the broadcasters and the community out there, how we can all keep making sure that we rendezvous at the same place at the same time as we keep playing whack-a-mole with the big tech social media platforms. Or they keep playing whack-a-mole with us, I should say.
Yeah, right. Well, I think that what you guys are doing is great, and kudos. You're definitely ahead of the curve on that as far as centralizing it back at your website. I mean, that's ultimately, I think, where this is going. And if they kick us off our own websites, well, then that's a whole another level of escalation we'll have to figure out. But I think that that's the way to go. And also, and I think there's people looking into what are those sites called that kind of bring all the different pieces together, all the different websites.
Aggregators?
Aggregator, collator.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So, and I think that there are people in our spheres working on those kind of things, from what I understand. So, if they could bring that way, someone can kind of go to a digest of like, here's Tap, here's Whack, here's Red Ice, here's all this stuff. I think we're going to be ultimately getting more sophisticated in the movement in general, as far as doing that kind of thing. And yeah, I agree that, like I said, I've been looking for a while for someone to help us get our website, because well, first of all, I'm not a developer, but also I just don't have the time to do it. So that's been a limitation, but that's definitely the direction we're going in, is to be able to people to get, that's going to be the place where you're going to get all the information. Things will be updated. What's the news, and I'd also like to just have kind of more of a news feed of like, hey, so-and-so is going to release an album, and et cetera, rather than just, me retweeting someone's tweet. That's all well and good, but we need to kind of professionalize that kind of thing.
And yeah, that's what I was getting at before. I mean, that's the next level up. I was asking you about something centralized for Whack, for your programming, for your artist catalog. We already spoke to that a few minutes ago. But then there's a further level up where I want to see, and I don't know if there's anything you can speak to with this yet, or if you've seen anything, but outside, like you're directly involved in culture creation. I want to see kind of the secondary products of that emerge, where there's journals writing about these artists and doing critiques of albums, and there's announcements about things coming out. When you think of any counterculture, there, it starts small and eventually it gets bigger, and usually gets, co-opted by corporations. But in our case, the one beautiful thing about being heretics is that kind of baked into the cake is that can't happen. None of our artists can sell out to Target, and for, even if it's $1 million, no, Target's not going to use our music in their ad. We're not going to be bought out if we have like a little underground magazine, White People's Quarterly by Tony, very associated with all of us here as well, is not going to be bought out by some mega publisher, some corporate publisher. So when I make these comparisons, please understand it's just to learn from what happened in the past. I know there's different debates about how controlled this was, but I do, and Jeff, I know we've spoken about this before, sometimes I do make comparisons to the 1960s, because that was a tremendous seismic cultural shift, and I think there are lessons that we can learn from that. And so when you think of when Rolling Stone magazine started, before it was a glossy corporate magazine, it was just a little, paper passed around San Francisco in the late 1960s. But that's an example. Cream was another magazine. I think it was out of Michigan. Cream, spelled with 2 E's, was another one of those early rock magazines. But that's a central place where you can get critique, you can get interviews with artists, you can get announcements about new albums coming out. So kind of the industry of it, in a way, forming. I'm curious if you see any moves in that direction, or if you've heard any rumblings of people that want to do that, because it seems to be getting big enough where that is the next logical step if this as this keeps growing.
Yeah, like we've discussed before, there kind of has to be an entire ecosystem of various different, there's the culture creation itself, then there's the critique, we're delving more into that kind of from philosophical, kind of even pragmatic angle, but also there just need to be those people that are putting it out on their sites. We do have some folks who have done some stuff like that. New Paradigm has written a number of really good reviews of some different albums. I think he did the new, or the, well, it was new a while back, Uberfolk album, Music for Nations, and he also did the Decency album. John Young of European Americans United, he wrote some reviews. Something, and of course we've had some reviews and different kind of things in the White People's Quarterly. I think also Vile. I'm interested in this. I don't know if you've seen this with Lucy Brown and Unwashed, and actually a musician that we've played, Jay Radu. He's got a really great song called Fear.
Yeah, that's a really good song.
Yeah.
I think we're going to talk to him about maybe playing his stuff too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's another one. I don't know. I think I might have sent you that one, Jason, on the list of stuff I sent you the other day. I can't
be on that list. Yeah.
But he's great, and he's from the UK, and he actually wrote an article for Vile that was kind of talking about his personal experience with music, and he mentioned whack in there. And but it was good because I think we're kind of finally getting into the weeds, so to speak, in a good way, to where we are starting to see those kind of manifestations of cultural content that, you know, like you said, there is enough stuff being created, and they're good because they're kind of a bridge between a little bit more of a kind of CivNat perspective into kind of our spheres, because, you know, they kind of do stuff, they play stuff, they make videos, and they kind of have like some mainstream pop culture stuff in it, but there's a mixture of kind of stuff from our spheres in there as well. And I think that's ultimately a good thing, because those, like you said earlier, it's like, you know, someone might see that and be like, oh, that's cool, I like that, I like the aesthetic of that video, or that thing that they wrote there, posted, or that article. And then, you know, they go to another article or whatever, and it's like, oh, here's this musician talking about his musical experience, and then what White Art Collective here is just kind of mixed into this whole thing that is kind of like an edgy, I think they're playing off kind of like a little bit of like the Vice News thing, you know, Vile Vice kind of got a little similar kind of a logo there. But yeah, I think I was actually really excited when I saw that, and actually Lucy reached out to me, and I was like, oh yeah, I really like what you guys are doing, because I think that the aesthetic of that and kind of the style of it is something that would really appeal to younger people. You know, like White People's Quarterly is kind of more calm. Get your coffee. It's intentionally very family oriented, as Tony makes very explicit in the front of the magazine, which we definitely need that. And then on the other hand, we do need stuff that's a little bit edgier of an aesthetic that like the younger generations are going to be able to relate to more. So I'm very excited to see that as well. And I hope to see more of that kind of thing. And I do see it popping up. And I hope more people will kind of take the reins and start doing stuff like that. Just take it upon themselves to start their own. I've been saying like non-communist type Rolling Stone for a while, you know, that type of magazine. And I think that's what Vile is doing, you know, and I think other people could also, theirs is very UK centric, you know, which is cool. That's what, to me, I think the local culture is the most rich. So I would like to see other people doing that in their own places. I'd like to see American versions even of different regions of America, and you know, and of course all across the Western world. I mean, I think that's ultimately what we need to see, and there's a market for it too. You know, I think that's what people need to understand. There's a unique opportunity to step forward, and I will definitely do anything I can to promote people who are doing that kind of work.
Absolutely, I agree with everything you said. Vile is they don't have a catalog of artists the way you do at this point. I don't know if that's going to be the point or not. But one interesting thing that they're doing that I like, and I think we need to see more of, is that they're reappropriating recent popular British culture as well. Like they'll put out something from a Britpop band, or they'll put out even an ad, even a fashion ad with Kate Moss in it, which isn't what we think of as like our thing or our aesthetics, but they're still pointing out, and I've been big on this, you know, we've talked about this, is that even this stuff that was corporately produced in recent memory, it's still, even if the producers of this were not conscious of it, they're just undeniably still markers of our culture, of our people in these things. And so one of their key tenets that I picked up from Vile, did I say Vice before? If I did, I meant Vile, is that they're taking all of this recent cultural material and they're saying, no, this is ours. We like this. We're going to claim this as our own. This is very British. This has our people and our sensibilities just baked into these images. It's there, which further goes along with what you're saying and what I was asking before about how we're going to start reaching people that aren't directly in our spheres. Because, yeah, again, to use the 60s analogy, yeah, there were plenty of college classes and people, I'm sure, had intellectual debates or on the side of a protest. People were talking about changes in attitudes in society. I'm not saying there wasn't an intellectual level, but all of the things that changed in the 1960s, I would imagine that the majority of people in the West, they didn't come to these new attitudes and slowly adapt to these new lifestyles and habits and changes because they had an intellectual debate. It's because it was the culture in the air, the aesthetics, all of this holistically as a swirl. That's what we need to remember. That's what you're doing. That's a big part of what we're trying to do as well, all be involved in. And so my hat's off to you again. And that's why I think this is important. And everyone listening, get excited and share this stuff. And if you like some of these musicians, support them, share their material, get it out to people in your life, because this is the thing that flies under the radar. Maybe you can't convince some of the people. I mean, Jason gives you the tools, but maybe it seems a little tough to you to have an intellectual debate with some of the people in your life. Maybe the first step is just going to be loosening them up with these aesthetics, with these things that just fly under the rational mind. There's a time and a place for that as well. It's very, very powerful. So hats off to you, Jeff. We only have a couple more minutes left. I don't know if there's anything else you want to say before we get into our closing ceremonies.
Yeah, just on that point, sometimes we get accused of being like we're ghettoizing ourselves or like we're too insular. I've heard this from various factions. And I think what people don't understand is that I see this, we're not the end all be all. Whack is like the end of the rainbow, but you need those other things that kind of bridge people to that. Like you got to take people from where they are right now, which where they are is like our mainstream culture is what it is. That's what people are used to. That's the kind of music they think is good, given the lyrics, the concepts, the aesthetics of it. But we have to kind of like, there's going to have to be a fundamental shift in the way that people view art and culture. And that's going to be kind of a slow incremental process. And, for that to happen, there's going to have to be, like you said, it's a swirl. You kind of have to be, you don't just consume these things, you're kind of subsumed by them. They just have to be around you. And there are enough, when you go on Twitter, there's not just Vile, there's not just Whack, there's not just White People's Quarterly, there's, a dozen other things that you can involve yourself in that have a particular aesthetic that appeals to you, to your particular locality or your particular tastes. And, like I see that these kind of organizations kind of like Vile and that kind of thing, we're all just kind of part of an ecosystem that is going to help to shift things more in our way of viewing the world. And that's going to make our aesthetics popular and reach a critical mass. So yeah, just
tipping point.
What's that?
So we're getting to the tipping point, people. Can you feel it?
Yeah. I think we are. I really do think we are. And I think we just got to keep pushing in that direction and just keep boldly asserting our perspective. And I think that's ultimately what it comes down to. We're no longer trying to debate people and say, whether we, here's the philosophical reason why we deserve to exist or something. We're just boldly asserting our perspective, our aesthetic, our biospirit, like we're here and deal with it, And I think that things will continue to grow. I think more people who are apolitical will just be like, I like what they're doing. Because the more people we get like that in the Whack sphere, the more their other artists are going to be like, that's really cool. That song's just like a really great pop song. What else are they doing in this? What else are they affiliated with? Who are the artists around them? Kind of like you said. And then they're going to discover just like the deeper and deeper levels of what we've been cultivating for a while now.
That's brilliantly said, brother. Let me, we're getting closer to the point of having to tap out. And there's been a lot of great information shared here tonight. And I hope we continue and expect and anticipate this has indeed happened, that we have engendered more interest in our scene. Ladies and gentlemen, please appreciate that what we are doing here is not some, we are putting the coal to the fire of our well-being and turning up the intensity. And it's something that is growing. It is so much larger than it was last year and so much larger than it was the year before. This is not going to be something that happens in the blink of an eye or overnight or by some sort of a vote. Anything like that would be too superficial. It's like starving yourself to lose weight. If you get on a proper weight loss regimen, you will slowly lose the weight, and then it won't be able to come back rapidly. We are not going to fix this with some easy vote or some politician or something of this nature. And furthermore, when you create this sort of environment that some would like to disparage, and of course I would think that many of these folks that would disparage this would just be subversives, anti-white subversives showing up to make a comment to get you to stop doing what they know is successful. When you create these ghettoized, these environments, these enclaves where folks can go for the in scene, for the hip scene, for the with it scene, for the edgy scene, people will go there. The most talented, the brightest, the most interesting. And if we continue to steer this ship, as Jeff is talking about here, in service to white well-being, so that when new folks show up, they see, well, what works, what gets success, what people celebrate is the celebration of white well-being. They'll then begin producing that. It is the exact same thing that happens in the anti-white art scene. You see that you're celebrated for being, if you're a white person, you're celebrated for creating the antithesis of the spirit that is inside of you. Unless you're corrupted and you're a normal white person, then you're celebrated for the spirit that is for the antithesis of the spirit that is inside of you, and that's what they create. So certainly we will be able to take all of those white creators from those environments and bring them on over to our environment. And this becomes a more and more interesting thing. It's the party that people want to know about. It's the party that people want to attend. It's the new art debut that everyone is talking about. This is what has actual tangible substance. And that is what we should be doing. Let's see what we have here. We've had a couple people financially gift. And over here on Cash App, we have 41 BMC, a great friend of our community, a great participant. Thank you so much. 41 BMC, $20. And writing here, for you all are right about, okay, you all are right about supporting our artists. Absolutely. Thanks so much, 41 BMC. And then we also have Zero Talent, another great participant over here, $5. And a financial gift, and writing here, it's another whack attack. Indeed, it is another whack attack. Thank you, dear friend. Now, Yiz has said that tried to financially gift over on Entropy and had a little bit of difficulty, haven't received an email confirmation back. And I'm not seeing anything on this end yet, but I will let you know if anything does come through. But as of right now, we have Rum. Thank you so much, dear lady. And $10. Financially gifting, writing here, as always, an interesting and intelligent stream. I appreciate everything you all are doing for white well-being. Well, thank you so much, dear lady. Great participant and always here, and we deeply appreciate you. And another person we deeply appreciate is Irish Ice, because this guy is as active as you can get. This is what it means to be a participant. Finds leaflets all over the place. He finds stickers. He finds all kinds of things that are touting the wonders of white well-being and bringing that message to a great many people, engaging folks in conversation at bus stops, at cross stops, walkways, all of this sort of thing, and in a safe way, of course. And we deeply appreciate that in a way that these people that he engages, he's obviously targeting folks to have the conversations that are likely to come over to white well-being or likely to adopt going free. And then those who are problematic, he just moves right on. He doesn't give them another word, so he's not harassing them or bothering them. He knows that his time is valuable, and he's going to use it to help bring people to going free. Gifting here, $5, Irish Ice. Thank you so much. And writing, I'm setting up a petition signing in my town square to bring lots of attention to the anti-white grocery stores that routinely target, intimidate, and abuse the white community. Powerful move on our part. It is indeed a powerful move. And thank you so very much for that. And if you can, make sure when you get people to sign the petition and bring attention to it, maybe you could give them maybe a little slip of paper that has an address on it for the work we are doing here. Maybe the afterparty.tv, nowhiteguilt.org, thegreatorder.com, something like this, and bring people over so that they can begin to receive the salubrious messaging that they are not going to receive anywhere else in the white positive sphere, and therefore anywhere else, period. I don't think we have, since we don't have the question widget, we don't see any more questions, and I'm just refreshing to see if Yiz's financial gift has come through. Nothing as of yet. But if anybody else has a question or comment, they better make it really quickly. Tag Mr. George or myself.
Jason, we have a good question from Tree of Wisdom. Now that we do shorter taps and that 2 hours is not the norm, where that used to be like the standard 2 hours, so anything over 2 hours was overdrive. We need to determine what constitutes overdrive now.
Well, that's a good point. What is overdrive?
Is it over an hour and a half? Because we usually do these now between an hour and a half.
Depending on questions coming, right?
So maybe over the 90th minute would be overdrive. And we're not going to go into overdrive tonight. We're just we're wrapping up right now. We do have, I believe, at 6 o'clock Eastern time in about 1 hour from now, Guide to Culture, Frode Midjord's Film Festival continues with Dr. Kevin McDonald. Should be very interesting. And then, Jeff, what time is WAC tonight? Where can people find it tonight?
Yes.
WAC this evening, Saturday night live stream will be at 9 p.m. Eastern on the WAC D-Live channel. And immediately after Saturday night live stream will be Dance Squared with DJ Boxcar, live DJ set.
Yeah. Very cool. What time was did you say the DJ Boxcar?
He's right after. It's usually about 10 to 10:15.
Nice.
Yeah, and as we mentioned with the Friday nights that you guys are so active on now, with what Jason started with Chuck Martell, works out beautifully because he does about a half-hour set of music and some other artistic works, 7:30 Eastern to about 8. And by the time that's wrapping up, you guys now are doing WAC. You've been doing this since about December. Hireth started something on Friday nights, and now there's Donald had a show the other night that he was doing Our Culture, right, last night?
Yeah. So we kind of rotating Our Culture with panel parties, which you were on one of those, which is more of like a discussion debate kind of a thing on a particular topic. And then Friday Unplugged now. We haven't had one for a while, but we actually have one coming up soon, actually with Josh Neal's going to be coming on and doing a live set. So
Josh Neal's comeback again. Our friend, I was so excited. I was messaging him. We've been in touch. He's been all right. Both him and Jefferson I've been in touch with, and we've met up. Well, I spoke to Josh a few weeks ago, and yeah, he said he is coming back. We're excited to see him coming back, and he's going to be on After Hours with me and Jason in a few days, Tuesday. So keep an eye out for that as well.
Indeed. Well, thank you so much for joining us again, Jeff. And you and I are going to get together in person soon, I hope, again. So I can verify that these two gentlemen are real, ladies and gentlemen. But they're not just bots. They're not just government AI. They are real living people. But what are your any final thoughts you have on the issues we covered tonight, or anything you missed that you would like to mention? And please share your links. And just so everyone can hear again, and I'm just do this occasionally, we don't share the links for guests or artists on YouTube unless the platform is YouTube, because we have received strike for sharing links elsewhere. So if their other links are going to be shared on our other platforms, our websites, if we put something up, certainly, I guess maybe even on D-Live, I could look into sharing them there. But for example, Jeff's, what is it? What is the platform that you put most of your material on?
Most of our stuff you'll see on Twitter at White Collective.
Okay.
And Gab as well.
Okay. Gab as well. And of course on BitChute. So we'll have those links. And so go ahead and please, Jeff, share all that, all the links you'd like to share. and then we will pass it over to Jared.
Yeah, sure. You can support us on PayPal, contact at whiteartcollective.com, Cash App, whiteartcollective.com. Also, if you just want, or you're an artist who wants to reach out to us, contact at whiteartcollective.com. Check out our website, whiteartcollective.com. And we got a store over there with lots of cool stuff. We got shirts and all kinds of different music and some books as well. Ash Donaldson's got some great books over there. Yeah, like you said, the BitChute. We got a Teespring with some Whack Pack shirts, which is very cool. And Twitter Gab. We actually have a Telegram channel now. I know that those are like a weird link, so if you look me up over there, I think you could probably search it and it should come up, I believe. And we actually have a Facebook group as well, but we have some of our guys running it, but I can't seem to Facebook just will not let me create an account. They just keep shutting it down. I don't know if they have my IP and they just decided I'm not cool or what, but if you look up White Art Collective, there should be a group over there run by Donald Kent and Jack White, and Hyrith's over there as well. So we're trying to get our presence over there. And Instagram too. We got a White Art Collective on Instagram.
Fantastic, brother. Mr. George.
Well, like Jason said, always please check our respective websites. He's nowhiteguilt.org. I am thegreatorder.com. For me, that's where everything I do goes through. And then the joint site is theafterparty.tv. So all of these shows, the catalog, and also all the community-generated material, all of these, Chuck Martell, for example, that we're playing on Friday nights with various artists are now going to be on our website as well. So that's an easy place to find everything, upcoming shows. As I said, you can often watch our show embedded via Entropy right on our site when we are live. So as I mentioned, Josh Neal is on After Hours this Tuesday night. Hyrith has been so active as a musician and now hosting shows and doing a lot of cultural creation that she will be on tap soon as well. So we're in talks for that. Look out for that. Always be checking out the social media. A lot of new stuff coming up. As I said, my Red Ice video is being edited right now. There'll be a new one out soon. And all kinds of cultural projects. I'm working on some music myself. So there'll be plenty to talk about and plenty of activity coming up, everybody. So take care, and Jason will take us out.
Thank you, good sir. And in fact, let me thank you right now for all of the great work that you do for White Wellbeing as well, you and Jeff, and all the great work that you do, Mr. George, right here on tap to make sure that this is an entertaining and educational opportunity for folks to come together in love of our people and recapture of our destiny. So thank you so very much. And thank you, everyone who commented in the live chat today. Thank you, everyone, for being here, whether you're live or watching in replay. And a deep thank you to everyone who gifted financially to the cause of White Wellbeing. I will mention also that Irish Ice is doing something that I've suggested many times. Obviously, a great learner right here, where I said, when and where you can wed going free with something that is unique to your area, unique to your town, whatever it might be, where people are suffering an injustice. And usually what I say is, I'll say, like, if wherever you live there are fisheries and X, Y, or Z is happening because of Antiwhiteism on the fisheries, undermining people's livelihood and the like, then get out there with leaflets that say, this is happening to the fisheries because of Antiwhiteism. Pass that out, because that is going to have a lot of meaning for people and their immediate lives. They will heed that a lot more than something that is archaic, arcane, removed from who they are and the lives they live. So brilliantly done, Irish Ice. Thank you very much for that. A great, deep, and warm thank you to Roy for the winning the super chat, or the financial gifting, I should say, competition last week, the crown, and being the only moderator here today. I think I only saw Roy. So thank you so very much for your service to White Wellbeing as well, good sir. And let me name a few people I saw over the course of the night. I, of course, saw Traversing the Divide was here, and so was History and Truth. A salute to you and spotlight to you. I saw at some point during the night, I saw Alex. So a big hello to you as well, Alex. And Jay Easom was also here tonight. I saw her a little bit earlier, so a big hello to you. Thank you all for being here tonight. Make sure that you go over to DLive and watch later tonight at 9 and watch the Whack Pack with Jeff and everything that they'll have going on over there. It's a magnificent show. And then if you stay a little longer, they break out a DJ and things just continue to get exciting over the course of the night. And we love you. We are glad to be with you in the midst of the hardship and the challenges that we're facing now with the disease spreading across the land and governments doing what they're doing. Of course, all correct. They never make any wrong decisions. But we're going to come out of this stronger than we were before, ladies and gentlemen. This I can guarantee you. And we look forward to seeing you again next time.